Good evening, special people, wonderful people, precious people. Thank you for tuning in tonight, members, supporters, and friends of the African Christian Democratic Party. Good to have you tonight with us. Dumelang bana ba gaeso, modimo a le tlhogonolofatse, modimo a le etse hantle. Today we are starting Rodi Lof. He's the first one to say Shalom, Honorable President, DP and ACDP family. Shalom, shalom. My co-pilot is still somewhere stuck. I'm not sure where, but he will be with us very, very soon. Dumelanga ufela morana Jesu goyenand. I trust that we are all ready for the program for tonight, which I believe is going to be a good one. Ronald Harris says, good evening, good evening, good evening. Mr. President, DP, and EC members, provincial leaders, and all colleagues, may tonight be as blessed as always. It shall be so, may Brur, that's also obvious. And we have Don Rogers, who also is saying, good evening, good evening. The Lord bless you. Good day, President and ACDP family. That's Lamash Skippers. The Lord bless you. Good evening, Tony Manuel, my president from Cape Winelands, Western Cape. The Lord bless you, sir. Shalom, shalom. There's only one. When you say shalom, shalom, you know it is Councillor Mkonza. The Lord bless him as he greets the DP and the lovely ACDP team. We have MPL Sipo Eric Manwele, all the way from KZN, saying, good evening, President. We are aware that you are from KZN. Thank you very much. Good evening, ACDP family. That is Marike Niethling. God bless you, Marike. And then we have Viwem Nkotla. Good evening, Mr. President and the ACDP family. Okay, they're still coming in. Aesop Jamil, Councillor Jamil Aesop says, good evening, Honorable President. And we have Martin Berg, who says, good evening, President. Western Cape, PSG, Martin Berg. Now we have Charles Lotta. Evening, Mr. President. Councillor Lance Krugboom and Marian Lotta still in council meeting. They will find us flying and going higher and higher. Bani Bernardo, good evening, ACDP family. We have fellow Christians, Huyenand Mebrur, Huyenand, Fandi Kap. And then we have Danny Penton, good evening, brother, all the way from Table View, Cape Town. The Lord bless you. Sim Simo, good evening, Honorable President and all ACDP team. Nora Maliti Nyiko is saying, good evening, Mr. President, Deputy President, and ACDP family. JJ, the only JJ we have, JJ Skulls, Huyenand, Menier President, Bayatrots of E, Bayadangi Menier, Bayatrots of E work. Ronald Murake, good evening, family, good evening, sir, from Tswane Pitori Matanying. And then we have Jay Peterson. Good evening, Mr. President, DP, and everyone. Shalom, Joy Peterson. Mario Brink, evening leaders, and ACDP family. Siboni So, Twala, good evening, Honorable President and Deputy President, and all ACDP family. The Lord bless you all. The Lord bless you all. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Where are we starting tonight? I had a very interesting meeting today. The chief whip of the Freedom Front Plus, Dr. Kone Melder, visited me today at our national offices in Alberton. He said he wanted to brief me on developments and the outcome of the two-day convention they had, where the multi-party parties met, a number of parties met, and then they drafted a charter that he wants us to look at. Now, I want to raise some of the things he said, and we are going to speak about, we'll spend some time on this, they call it Multi-Party Charter of South Africa. He said he is visiting this morning, not because he was sent by anybody, but he initiated the visit. Why visit us at the offices? He said he wants to invite the ACDP to join the multi-party charter. He made it very, very clear. This is not a moonshot pact. He actually said the moonshot pact is practically dead, okay? And then he says this multi-party charter is not talking about forming a coalition before the elections. He is the longest serving member of parliament. Before 1994, he was in parliament for 5.5 years. So he is the longest serving member of parliament who understands that coalitions have to be formed after the elections and not before. So I want to highlight a number of issues he raised, they raised in this document, because the question is, and the invitation is, ACDP, we need you because it was decided by all the parties that were there that to be successful in our attempts to replace the ANC this coming year, it will not be possible if opposition parties are few. So the more opposition parties we have, the better. That is why they are now going after other political parties, including the ACDP. Actually said he started with the ACDP because he knows that we are reliable partners. Now, this is a 9-page document, and the parties that were there, obviously, there were 7, but they said they need more. Let me give you an idea of what this thing's about. In their preamble, they have 10 points. To save time, I will only read 5 of them. The first one says, we, the undersigned political parties, come together at a time when South Africans are desperate for hope that can only come from a new political direction for our young democracy. Secondly, the pain and suffering of South Africans grow daily, with rising unemployment, spreading and increasing poverty, deepening inequality, spiraling crime, and a stagnant economy. Continues to say, the freedoms that the founding fathers of our nation sought, maybe let me leave that one, the next one. South Africans love their country, hate what has been done to it, and are tired of being told what they already know, that things are falling apart. They want solutions. So next it says to fulfill this mission, my apology, we have come together to form a multi-party agreement that we will present to South Africans so that they will know that there are parties that want to change the direction this country is taking. Next, they're saying, as political parties, we undertake to present this agreement to the South African people in the cities, towns, villages, and rural settlements across our country, until every South African knows our offer and witnesses that our parties can work together for their benefit. All right, maybe let me stop there. I didn't do the 5, I did only 4. So then thereafter, they're talking about the nature of the agreement. The nature of the agreement. They say this agreement takes the form of a pre-election agreement, not coalition, but agreement that will be publicized and made available on the digital platforms of signatory parties. Signatory political parties to this agreement will contest elections as individual political parties that will present their unique offerings to the South African people. Now, the vision for South Africa, they say, a new government to build a just, inclusive, and prosperous South Africa based on opportunity, freedom, and security for all its citizens. Next, we look at their priorities for this new government that we are all dreaming about. Signatories to this agreement record the following as the priority issues for a new government to address the greatest challenges confronting South Africans. Number one, the priority is growing the economy and creating jobs. Two, ending load shedding and achieving energy security. Three, achieving law and order that combats crime, corruption, and drugs. Four, ensuring quality education that delivers opportunities for all. Five, delivering basic services to all through high quality infrastructure. And six, building a professional public service that delivers to all and ending cadre deployment. Seven, ensuring quality healthcare for all within a caring healthcare system. And eight, building a social relief network for South African households living in poverty. Now, the shared governing principles is the next thing that they have raised. They say we undertake to govern in accordance with our shared governing principles, which are a commitment to one, the South African Constitution, the rule of law, and equality before the law. Now, when they talk about equality before the law, according to the Constitution, we are all equal before the law. But you know that the experiences we have been having in our country undermine this goal of everybody being equal before the law. You know that the president obviously is favored. Okay, I will say that. Definitely the president is favored. I'm sure you are all shocked and disappointed that after SARS said the president or his company has paid taxes on what has been happening on the Phala Phala farm, the Reserve Bank has come and said the man is okay, nothing wrong he has done, he did not break the law. If there was something that they were questioning, they would have said it, but they didn't say that. Some people are saying they are using technicalities. You know that the acting public protector did the same thing. He said, no, we don't find anything unbecoming that the president has done. Obviously, we have a question. I'm deviating from the script just for a few minutes. You and I know that if we can be found with foreign exchange, can be found with dollars, even if they are 5,000, 10,000, you will have to answer. How did those dollars come into your pocket, your purse, your wallet, or your house? You'll have to answer. The president was not asked to answer. So something is seriously wrong. one of my concerns is the criminals who are watching that. They say, oh, the president is allowed to keep millions of dollars on his farm, or I will also keep some thousands, not millions. And if they want to charge me, I will ask the question about the president. It's going to be a very interesting one. They have set a bad precedent. The Reserve Bank, as far as I'm concerned, have set a bad precedent. And the ACDP is totally unhappy with what the Reserve Bank has said. Okay, we are not all equal before the law. Some are more equal than others. Some are protected, some are, and so on, all right? Okay, then back to the shared governing principles. The second one, decentralizing power to the lowest effective level of government. Obviously, ACDP agrees with this one, and a number of them. The next one, the one, accountable, transparent government with zero tolerance for corruption. These are some of the shared governing principles. They want a caring government that will put people first and prioritize the poor. In South Africa, nobody should be going to bed hungry. This country is wealthy. There's a lot of wealth in this country. And the day is coming, I believe, when South Africa will be assisting the Europe that is assisting South Africa today. Something is happening that maybe we should not talk about it today. There are countries, Niger, as you know, that have had challenges, that have had a coup, where people are saying, we are tired of being controlled by remote control. We are tired. We cannot have France dictating to us what to do in Niger. Time permitting, when we talk on this issue, I will tell you what happened when I was invited to Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast. The 31st of December, 1999, my wife and I, one other couple will tell the story later on, maybe next week, we were in the air. So when the year 2000 came in, we were above the clouds, above South Africa, above everything, going to the Ivory Coast. A very interesting story, which we'll share with you. I'm raising this issue because African countries are saying, we want to rule ourselves. What we call political freedom is not really freedom, because what is happening there, let's not talk now, but something is happening. That's what I'm saying. The time is coming when Europe is going to look to Africa. Until now, actually, let me say, there is an economic professor. And this, what I'm saying now, is on the internet. You can check it anytime. But because we're not talking about that, I just want to make a statement in passing. He said, we will not allow Africa to develop. Let me read it there. We will not allow Africa to develop. Africa just has to provide the minerals forever. And Africans are saying it will not happen. The day for Africans to say the minerals that we are digging, we don't want to send them as raw materials forever. We want to start beneficiating. And obviously, we agree with them. And when they start doing that, actually, this same professor said, if Africa can be allowed to start developing, then the living standards of Europe is going to drop. So keep Africa down. Keep Africa in poverty. Don't allow them to develop so that Europe can have higher standard of living. That's politics that Africans, starting in the north, are saying, this thing has to change. This thing has to change. Okay? Those were the shared governing principles. Now they have what they call common ground on shared solutions. Maybe let me read, okay, a few ones. Multi-Party Charter for South Africa has agreed to the following high-level intentions underpinning the shared solution to South Africa's greatest challenges. Now, these include, number one, growing the economy and creating jobs. Secondly, achieving energy security. Thirdly, law and order that combats crime, corruption, and drugs. Fourthly, quality education that delivers opportunities for all. Now, they also have a declaration of intent. They say we are unequivocal about our commitment to the vision, priorities, principles, and common programs of the Charter. Secondly, we will not entertain any working arrangement or co-governing agreements with the ANC, EFF, or any rival formations, and we will not vote for any office bearers of the ANC and EFF, nominated either directly or indirectly. Ladies and gentlemen, mense as a move, you know, EFF, yadelela, okay? No respect for anybody. And the ANC, well, everybody knows they are stealing, they are looting, and people are saying we are tired. So the agreement was we will not support them with anything. ANC and EFF, forget about working together to run a government in South Africa. It is not going to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I come to the conclusion, principles of sharing public power, they say. Very interesting. They say long-term coalition stability can only arise when power sharing transcends the superficiality of a focus on positions and achieves the principles of co-governance. The important part is coming. In determining the sharing of positions, the following principles must be balanced. Representation approximately should be proportional to election results. Secondly, merit-based consideration as to which party has the best candidate for a position. Which party has the best candidate for the position? Now they're talking about sharing these are the principles. Implementation obviously will be after the election. So they're just saying, when you're going through the elections, go in there knowing that people will be put in positions based on their merit and not based on the fact that they stay too long in the oven. They are looking darker than me. Okay, no favors for you guys. Okay, thirdly, they say a diversity of parties must be represented in leadership positions, and the principle of separation of powers should be observed within the coalition. Now, coalition after the elections, okay? After the elections. What I found very interesting, and I was not there, obviously, when they drafted this, and I wondered how many of Steenhuisen felt about this one. They said, there is no requirement that the leader of the largest party is de facto to be nominated for the position of president. So the leader or the one that has the largest percentage when it comes to these opposition parties is not going to automatically be the president of the country. Next, they say, the largest party in the coalition in the National Assembly that arises from this agreement and that does not hold the position of President of the Republic will hold the position of leader of government business. They lead or they make decisions based on consensus. This gives anybody of all the parties the opportunity to be president, regardless of how many votes they got. As long as you are part of this agreement, they are going to discuss of all these people who should represent us as the president of the country. Yay! It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Okay, now they say again, any candidate to be put forward for election as an office bearer, either nationally or provincially, must undergo an independent lifestyle audit. I'm sure you agree with this. Thieves should not even try. If they know that you are just a councillor or MP and you have seven houses that cost millions, you have to tell, how did you get all this? How did you pay for all these cars? Then you have Bentleys. You know how expensive a Bentley is? You have 3 Bentleys and you are just a councillor. Lifestyle audit, they're going to look at what do you have? How did you get it? Could this salary have produced all that? So all these columns will be left out. I'm attracted to this one. Corruption, corruption, corruption. Those who are corrupt are going to be sidelined according to this. Now, maybe my closing statement. This agreement will only be amended by consensus. By consensus. So Dr. Melden said, ACDP, we are here to ask you to please consider your position. He said, I understand your position fully on the Moonshot Pact, but this is not the Moonshot Pact. And this is also not going to be led by Mr. Steenhuisen. So the approach is totally different. So I want to ask you, my friends, should we become part of this agreement? Or should we continue to stand on our own? If we stand on our own, what are the benefits? If we want a godly government, are we going to influence or get it by being aloof or away from these people who are saying, let all South Africans come together? One thing he also said was, there's somebody they've appointed who was part of CODESA, who is also mobilizing people to have a civic movement. South Africans are rising up, a civic movement. They say they want ordinary people to also stand up and agree that we want the ANC out. And they say if they agree, obviously, those people will have a choice of either just voting for those parties that are part of this agreement, this multi-party charter, or join any one of them. So the approach is twofold. From the political side, parties, and from the grassroots movement side, a civic movement, that the goal of both these groups should be to unseat the ANC and to make sure that the EFF does not smell and does not touch government. We don't want EFF government. We don't want ANC government. Now, from Limpopo, they are saying, I see there's a question, what are the weaknesses of such an arrangement? Well, that is not included here. One thing I can say is that signatures have not been attached yet. They have the list of names of people who are there from these 7 parties, but signatures are not there yet. When the signatures are attached, they said they want to give other parties an opportunity. And then so that they come together, this is not cast in stone. This is the beginning. How are we going to work together? Who's going to get what, how? And thereafter, contest elections on your own, representing your party. And after the elections, we put our percentages together and hope that will be more than 51%. Because if that be the case, then ANC will kiss Tien Hayes goodbye, and all other places they'll kiss them all goodbye. So now, I see there are some people who are asking questions. Obviously, this tomorrow is going to be sent to all the provincial leaders so that you can have an opportunity to go through this, because in 2 weeks' time, NEC will meet to look into what we have said. When you receive, when your leaders receive this in all provinces, they will give you also the address of where to submit your inputs. We want what is best for South Africa. Somebody, I saw biblical principles. I could not read that, and that's been removed from the screen. Okay. What if lifestyle audit is aimed at opposing biblical principles? Well, this audit is meant to fish out those who have stolen. I'm not sure what it means by opposing biblical principles. Obviously, Martin, maybe Beck, you need to explain a little more what you mean by that. Biblical standards, I mean, for them to come to ACDP, for example, they know biblical standards, biblical principles are non-negotiable. That I can assure you. Even though we are still going to discuss this, that is non-negotiable. If we want God to bless this nation, we cannot go against it. And ACDP, if you say, guys, let's attend their meetings, let's hear what they are saying, let's decide whether it will work better for us to get the ANC out. If we are part of this, we want to hear from you. We are not going to impose anything from you. Okay, now, okay, we must be independent until further notice. That is Ronald Morage says we must be independent until further notice. And then Hula Twe Tsipu says, I think we should be part of the agreement. That is Tsipo. And Tabisen Sikano says it's concerning as to how the stability of this agreement will be sustained while coalitions are struggling at local government level since 2016. Okay, interesting thing, Tabi. What they have said, they say it is not all parties in the coalitions now that have struggled since 2016, as you correctly say, that signed. I know for one that the PA was refusing to sign. The PA would just go where there is better offers. They would go where there were better offers. But now they say the PA has vowed. I was not in the meeting, as I said, has vowed that they will not work with the ANC again. They have vowed that they will not work with the EFF again. So sounds like there's agency in their hearts, and sounds like a number of them are saying, if you sign, we are going to find mechanisms of ensuring that you are forever treated like a leper. All right. Okay, let me hear the last one, and then we'll go to our next subject, because I see the number of questions that are coming. Cranston Holland Ramsey says, we definitely should not be part of the agreement. Let God arise. And then James Lottering, let's check it out first. Show us that it works. Okay, Karin Ditlek says, what are your thoughts about this? What is God saying to you? Okay, we'll come to that one. Karine will come later to that one. Let's hear what others are saying. Nobody was saying, okay, let me not say what I wanted to say. Christian Rolson says, what is the Lord's will regarding this matter? Hey, those are important questions. What is the, Karine said, what is the Lord saying? Councillor Rolson says, what is the Lord saying? It's true. We have to consult what the Lord is saying. And then Viwe Nkotla says, I think we need to pray over this. Confirmation, confirmation, confirmation. Tony Manuel, I did not hear anything in the document regarding religious freedom. Okay, now you're right, it doesn't have everything. Yeah, okay, we'll see. If we send somebody there and they say no, that one I can guarantee you is a guarantee. Religious freedom is a guarantee. Definitely. That one I can guarantee you, even though it's not here. The person I spoke to told me, I'm a Christian and I will not allow this multi-party charter to do something that will be displeasing to God. All right, maybe I must take the last one. Ndate Mukwena says, I don't see a problem if this will be considered after the election. All right. Thank you very much for your comments, friends. You have 2 weeks. You have 14 days. Actually, maybe not 14. Let's make it 10 days so that you can make your submissions on time. Submissions that will be considered by the NEC. Everybody's opinion is important. Okay? Nobody's going to condemn you. If everybody goes to the east, you go to the west. Nobody's going to condemn you. You have an opinion. Now, those obviously, I'm saying this obviously knowing that some people might abuse it. And I was going to say, those who will hear from God will take what you are saying seriously. I'm not saying this so that everybody will come and say, hey, God spoke to me, God spoke to me, God spoke to me. No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the will of God is very important for us. For me personally, the will of God is the utmost importance. I will never, God knows my heart, I will never go against the will, what I know and believe to be the will of God. So let us pray, guys. Let us pray, and then we'll take it further in 2 weeks' time. Okay. Now, the next thing, we have a lady to talk to us. What is she going to talk about? The IEC sent an email to the ACDP. IEC. They are in charge of elections, as you know. They said they want to know what is the party, the ACDP's commitment to women's rights. What is the ACDP's commitment? They want a women's dialogue. And the National Secretary General of the ACDP has started with that. They also say they want to know from the ACDP what our position is on gender parity in political conversation. Now, obviously, they rather hear from women than hear from men. So even today, the person who's going to talk to us about this issue, what is the ACDP's gender parity policy? Whether the ACDP is committed to women's rights or not. Okay, those are the two main questions that the Secretary General, Mefro, you know her, Chirel who? Jacobs. She will be talking to us about these two issues. Welcome, Madame. Let's hear from you.
Good evening, Mr. President, Honorable President. I see the Deputy President is not with us yet. Good evening, ACDP family. Mr. President, thank you for affording me the opportunity on this platform to render a brief on gender parity, gender-based violence, and matters that affect women well, and men too. It's Women's Month. Let me greet all the wonderful, strong women, warrior women of the kingdom, and declare that you are stronger than you think, you're smarter than you present, you're the apple of God's eye. And to the men who support our women, who respect them, who abhor abuse, we thank you. Let me start by saying that the ACDP, as the President has just indicated, have been invited to a women's dialogue on gender parity and gender-based violence on the 30th of this month. And I want to start by sharing the view of the ACDP, a view that we will present at this dialogue. The ACDP do not believe in quotas for women in any position at any level. We do not believe in tokenism. All positions held by women in the ACDP are based on merit. We have to be fit for purpose, so our president says. We have women in positions at the moment, as we have an MP, we have councillors, we have chairwomen. I'm a woman. I'm the National Secretary General of the African Christian Democratic Party. And what we promote, Mr. President, just on the point of how the ACDP takes a stand against women parity and violence against women, we promote equality of all human rights for women, socio-economic equality, access to justice, freedom from violence, and participation in decision-making at all levels. From increasing women's representation in leadership and decision-making to redistributing productive resources, progress towards a gender equal and sustainable future starts with us taking action today. And it is my opinion that if women were allowed to participate more freely in peace talks and conflict prevention around the globe, these peace talks would be less likely to fail. They'd be more durable, more effectively carried out. After all, we are the professional referees in our families, aren't we, ladies? We're the finance manager, the chef, the chauffeur, are we not? Then again, we wear many hats effectively, because that is the innate strength of a woman, the strength that God has given us. Okay, so let's talk socially. Although some progress has been made in securing women's rights, many women and young girls still suffer discrimination and abuse. Our children are abused and the perpetrators receive bail or short-term sentences. They're released to continue the vicious cycle. It is terrible to see what is happening, especially in the townships. Our moms have to work, our children are left unsupervised. And then even in their families, they suffer abuse at the hands of family members. What we are doing about it is going to be the question here. Economically, well, wage and salary inequality persists. Women still earn less than men who are doing the same work. And then let's take Banyana, as recent as last month. They put us on the map in the world of sport. Yet they had to go on strike for more money. Now, the ACDP, we will continue to fight for the right of women, for the right of the girl child in every area. In schools, where the curriculum includes contentious subjects bordering on sexualization of our children, where unisex toilets invite opportunities for abuse, right to the boardroom where sexual harassment is swept under the carpet, and women are almost forced to be silent just to maintain a position in a company. That can't be allowed. It is time to step up and say no more. Women, children, widows, orphans must be a priority in the corridors and chambers of government. The ACDP will continue to uphold and fulfill the legacy of our late First Lady, Dr. Lydia Meshwe, fondly known to many as Mama Lydia. I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity or the honor of meeting Mama Lydia personally. We'll be hosting our Women of Destiny National Conference during this Women's Month of August in memory of our late Mama Lydia Meshwe. Mama Lydia's heart was for the abused woman, woman-headed households where poverty exists in many of these homes, especially in rural areas. Her heart was for widows and orphans especially. Now, at our women's conference, each woman will take up the banner of Mama Lydia and concentrate on a chosen project addressing the needs of widows and orphans and the rights of women in society under the leadership of provincial chairwomen who will be directed by the Women of Destiny president who is still to be elected, and this will happen 24th to 26th of this month in Bloemfontein. And that is something we're looking forward to take forward the fight of women, headed by women, in a society that seems to be, who has not prioritized the rights of women. Let's chat about gender-based violence for an instant. Every year we celebrate 16 days of activism against women abuse or no violence against women. From the 25th of November, International Day of No Violence Against Women, to the 10th of December, the International Human Rights Day. That's when we celebrate the 16 days of activism. Yet it appears, and I don't know if it's only to me, but it appears that violence against women escalate during this period. If what we read in the news can be taken as the truth, this is what we hear, that the numbers of violence against women increases in this period. What has the 16 days of activism achieved? Has it just become a slogan, is what I ask myself. We must understand that the success of the 16 days, this campaign, rests on individual and collective actions to safeguard our society against a cycle of abuse. And we have a duty to protect our most vulnerable in society. While the number of domestic violence cases and rape cases increase, structures to manage such incidents are still not adequately implemented. Let's take, for example, our South African police stations. Now, I've been very active in communities for many, many years. And when I look at the police stations, I ask myself, and I think you should ask yourself too, are there trauma units to manage victims of abuse? Are there specifically trained officials to manage gender-based cases? Not to my knowledge, or perhaps I should say not in the areas where I've been active in addressing gender-based violence. I've experienced victims of abuse being further traumatized by members of SAPS who have no idea of how to handle GBV victims, adding insult to injury just in the way they manage these women. It really pains one. Proper testing facilities for rape victims, as an example, is often absent. And this is why so many cases are left unresolved in our courts because of a lack of accurate sampling or contaminated test samples even, because they're just not trained to manage this. And why is that? Because it's not prioritized. It's just not prioritized. And again, that is my opinion, but I do know that the ACDP would support that. So let us join hands, I say, in the fight against gender-based violence. Let our women stand up and step out and break the glass ceiling in what is considered a man's world. Let us take up our rightful place at boardroom tables. Let it be on merit. Let us not be told that barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen is the way to go. We can do anything that we set our minds to. We can do anything in Christ who gives us strength. We can achieve a godly governance with the assistance of women. And that is why a vote for the ACDP, Mr. President, is where I'd like to end, is a vote towards the protection of our women and our children. And I'd like to pause there. I thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madame. You are right. Women in the ACDP are greatly respected. I can give one example about a woman who lived with me for 46 years. After the first election between 1994 and 1999, we had 4 men who represented the ACDP in the Gauteng legislature. 4 men. The first one, Dr. Bam, was fired for stealing funds, okay, for corruption. The first one, I think it was after 2 years, he was fired. The second one, was fired also for immorality. Men in the ACDP know, Jevorni Stoutni, Ajeredrood as how Shadile. You look at your wife, you love your wife, you attend to your wife. You won't last. So he was unfair and also unfaithful. So he was fired, the second man, for immorality. The third one, unfortunately, died in office. The fourth one, obviously, completed the 5-year term. 4 men in 5 years. So when the NEC said, after the elections, they said, no, we must try a woman. We must try a woman. We can't have 4 men in 5 years. 4. They're all failures. So, no, let's try a woman. And then they said, no, we want Mama Lydia. Hey, she said, no, not me. At first, I knew my wife, obviously, is not political, but I had to be reminded that I also was chosen when I was not political. So to cut the long story short, finally, it was decided that Lydia, my wife, should go to the legislature and represent the ACDP. She did so well. She did so well that one ANC official said to his wife, I want you to meet this woman from the ACDP, and I want you to please ask her to be your role model, because that woman knows how to present herself with grace. Please. Mama Lydia, 10 years, until today, you go and ask about her in the legislature. Highly respected. Why am I saying all this? I say women. Where men have failed, bring in a woman. The one who have not been created by dust. Women that were created by dust. Maybe that's why we create dust many times. I don't know. But I'm just saying, women, you're all very special. You're all very special. Never look down upon yourselves. ACDP will make sure that you get an opportunity to shine and do best. Remember a Deborah. Some of you will be like Deborahs. Some of you will be like Esther's. Some of you will be like Miriam's, with the tambourine praising the Lord and encouraging the army and so on. So in the ACDP, we understand when the scriptures say there is neither male nor female. We know that men are not more important to God than women. Neither male nor female. In our standing before him, we are all equal. We stand on an equal platform. Obviously, when we come into the family situation, even though there is a respect for one another, submission to one another, ultimately, the Babas, the men, the scriptures give them space to be leaders in the home. And if my wife was here to speak for herself, she would tell you, I submitted to my husband and he never abused me, which is true. My children are there, my children are in the ACDP, they can tell you the same thing. I'm saying all this, friends, just to say, particularly ladies, as this is the Women's Month, we want ACDP women to rise up. We want ACDP ladies to rise up. knowing that you have qualities that can help make South Africa a winning country. So the Lord bless you. The Lord bless you, ladies. The Lord bless you, gentlemen. The Lord bless you all. You're all very special. Mama Jacobs, when you started, your face was not very clear because the network was failing you. But when you ended, you ended with a big plus. So you did very well. Sharp, sharp. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So tonight, I want my last words are, we want the will of God. Please help us. Let's seek the face of the Lord regarding this matter of a multi-party charter for South Africa. Should we contribute to this charter, improve it, or should we fold our arms and stand at the distance and say, we don't care what's going to happen, who's going to win? I know we want to have a godly government. I know we want to have an ACDP government. I want ACDP government. But what is our footprint saying? How many people in South Africa still don't know the ACDP? I'm asking you to please, let's work much harder. Let's work much harder to ensure that ACDP becomes a household name. Even those who are not working, say to the Lord, I want to, everybody must hear from me about the ACDP. All my neighbors must hear from me about the ACDP. We need God in government, God in the South African government, because without him, we are not going to make it. And if I can say anything to these people, I would say to them, without God, forget it. He has to be honored. And the preamble has to make reference to that. It doesn't this time, but that's what, if I get an opportunity, we'll tell them. Without the Lord, no politician will get this country right. No coalition will get this country right. It will continue sinking, and slippery on this slippery slope. But when we invite the Lord to help us and to be our Savior, the Lord will do a majestic, wonderful, beautiful thing and make this country a blessed one. May the Lord keep you and your family as you go to pray and to ask the Lord for wisdom about this. Please. Now, on a lighter note, may I ask you a question? Would you support me if I say, let's propose that Desiree Ellis becomes the coach of Bafana Bafana? She has done well with Banyana Banyana. She has really, really shown that she is a lady, is a woman with expertise, skills, wisdom, knowledge, and so on. Would you support me? I want to know how many would support me if I say, Bafana Bafana have tried all the male coaches. They have not gone any further. Let's try Desiree Ellis. Okay, what do you think about it? The Lord bless you. We'll meet again next week. Communicate with us. Let's know what you think about this. Let's know what you think. God bless you. May I say as I close, Jesus Christ is Lord. Over my life, my family, hopingly your life, your family, and he has to be Lord over South Africa also. God bless you.